Golden Opportunities is paid for by Elder Productions.
Hello, I'm Lori Steiner. Welcome to Golden Opportunities.
Today, there's a drug abuse epidemic, and you're not too old to become addicted. We'll offer help and hope. Need help with your heart? We're on the beat to toughen up your ticker. Plus, we'll wade into the problem of providing clean water and how we can tap into improving this important issue. And give yourself the gift of understanding Medicaid gifting rules. It could save you thousands of dollars.
It's time to get GOing, so pull up a chair and join us at our kitchen table for Golden Opportunities. If you've ever been hurt or had surgery, you've probably been prescribed pain medication. Standard treatment of care, right? Well, for some, this plan of care has an unplanned result: addiction. Dr. Robert Reznicki is here to alert us to a drug abuse epidemic that can especially impact older adults. Dr. Reznicki is the Chief Medical Officer at Medical Mutual of Ohio. Welcome to the show again.
Thanks, Lori.
Is this really an epidemic?
It really is. Just think about it now. Last year, in the last few years, 250 million prescriptions written each year. The number of women should pay attention because their death rate from overdoses is going up even more rapidly than men. 5 times it has gone up over the last 10 years. Men, about 3.5 times. It's the same in Ohio as it is elsewhere. So we certainly would call this an epidemic and a big problem.
Okay, what are opioids?
Yeah, opioids are chemicals that are produced in the laboratory, and they are used to try and trick the brain into not thinking there's pain there. So the pain is still there, the fracture or the back pain or whatever the problem is, it's still there. However, those chemicals work very effectively to minimize that. The problem with them is they do have a sense of well-being or euphoria that comes with them that makes people like them. And the more you use them, the more you feel that you need to get the same benefit.
But they do help, stop the pain feelings at least, so.
They absolutely do, but for every medicine you take, there are risks, and so it is with these. And so people will have problems with constipation or difficulty passing their water. They are dangerous medicines to use when you're driving an automobile or using equipment. So they are medicines that you really need to use very carefully, and more importantly, they can produce problems with what we call respiratory depression, which is a condition where the breathing rate slows down. And that seems to be what's responsible for most of the deaths associated with opioids.
Oh boy. So what are some of these medications?
Sure. There are a whole bunch of these medicines, and I bet your listeners have seen this list many, many times. And so you may not know oxycodone, but you sure probably remember or hear about Percodan or Percocet or Vicodin or Lorcet, codeine, of course, and fentanyl is used sometimes for operations or even if you've had a colonoscopy. So these medicines are used very, very commonly.
Okay, so we're supposed to avoid these in order to avoid the addiction problem. So what are the alternatives?
Sure. And the first thing to remember for all of us is that never use 1 more milligram of anything than you absolutely need. How do you know? You try taking less and see if you still get the same benefit. However, there are some non-medicine things you could do. You could try ice or heat on an affected area. You could try physical therapy. You could try masotherapy or other means of things. If you do need medicines, don't start with what we call an opioid or a narcotic. Start with something milder. Maybe your doctor will think acetaminophen or Tylenol is okay. Or maybe your doctor will think taking some ibuprofen or Aleve or naproxen are all right. But make sure if you do use them, don't use any more than is written on the label and that your doctor authorizes.
Okay, and if we think we are having an addiction problem with that, is there help?
Sure, there's help. And the first thing to do is to think about what you're doing, that you're always asking for more pills than you had, or you're complaining that the pills aren't helping the way they used to. And if your doctor can help with that, great. But to get treatment information on your own, there is a substance abuse treatment facility locator. And here's the phone number, 1-800-662-HELP, or if you are savvy on a computer, here's a website that you can go to learn more about it and find a place that can help you with your problem.
All right, great information. Prescription opioids can effectively reduce the pain and discomfort caused by many medical conditions. However, they can be very dangerous drugs, leading to addiction. Follow Dr. Reznicki's advice and talk to your physician about your pain medication and any possible alternatives. My thanks to Dr. Reznicki for this important information.
Thanks, Lori.
Thank you.
Find out more about Medical Mutual of Ohio by visiting their website, www.medmutual.com/2015 options, or call 866-488-3266. But first, one government organization has a motto that mirrors its well-known name. So which agency's adage is fidelity, bravery, integrity? We'll solve this federal case and spell out the answer when we return.
Here, we're improving the health of our community. Here, a student sees a doctor without ever leaving school. Here, a stroke survivor regains the use of his right hand. Here, a foster child gets the consistent care he deserves. Here, and here, we're breaking new ground every day. So we can break ground here tomorrow. Be a part of the Metro Health transformation. It's good for everyone. Here.
Fidelity, bravery, integrity initially endorsed the ethics of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, or FBI. And if you uncovered this answer, then consider yourself a focused, brilliant individual.
Others have noted that music can connect with those who have memory impairments. But what about art? Can a colorful painting or a striking sculpture inspire their imaginations? The Cleveland Museum of Art is eager to offer that opportunity with their program, Art in the Afternoon. Trina Proofer and Thomasine Clark are here to help us draw our own conclusions. Trina is a docent at the Cleveland Museum of Art, and Thomasine Clark is the docent and tour administrator at the Cleveland Museum of Art. Welcome to both of you here today.
Thank you.
So Thomasine, we'll start with you. Tell us a little bit about the program.
The program offers tours to those who are experiencing memory loss. It began in 2010 as a partnership between the Cleveland Clinic, the Cleveland Museum of Art, and the Alzheimer's Association of Greater Cleveland. The tours meet once a month, the second Wednesday of every month, from 1:15 to 2:30. We feel that the tours are more, the goal of the program is to engage the mind, to lift the spirits, and provide a social experience for those who suffer from memory loss along with their caregivers. And we hope it actually feels much more like an experience that could be likened to a book club than your traditional art tour.
It's a bit more interaction and learning with everybody. So tell us about the docents like you work with and the training that goes into that.
Yes, the initial training involved a workshop with the Museum of Modern Art in New York, but we did more training with the docents who identified an interest in this program with training with the Alzheimer's Association that involved actually learning the science behind memory loss. So these docents have that additional training in addition to what they get on our permanent collection, on art history, and gallery teaching techniques that the museum offers.
Okay, that's great. Now, Trina, are there certain parts of the museum that you focus on, or something that be more mind expanding, I guess?
We actually go into all parts of the museum. The entire museum is handicap accessible. Once we get to the part of the gallery that we want to be in, we often stay there or stay in that gallery and maybe an adjoining gallery, because we really like to cut down on the walking that our visitors really have. A number of them really have physical disabilities. Another advantage to staying in one part of the gallery is that we can also talk about one period at a time. And we can talk about what's going on in the pictures. We talk about the narratives and the stories behind them, and it gives our visitors really a chance to talk about these paintings or pieces of art in depth and to identify their own lives with the paintings and the stories that are inside them.
Sure, they probably can identify with some of that.
Right, right.
And you also do some texture work. I think that's what this is here.
We do. I wanted to mention to our audience that a tour, an Art in the Afternoon tour, is sometimes a little different than a regular tour that you might go on. We would start out with some open-ended questions and ask our visitors what they might see in a painting. That gives a chance for everyone to have their own opinions and be really relaxed, and we really value what everyone says.
And how do you work into these, like, the props that you bring along?
Well, our goal is to really spur memories and to make everyone feel comfortable. So often we'll be discussing a painting and we will actually bring in a tactile object that has something to the painting. What I brought for you today are some very old-fashioned clothespins and an old-fashioned 1900 pillowcase. And I used them when we were talking about a painting with a woman hanging out laundry. Another thing about that pillowcase is that I dried it outside, and it has a very, very special smell. So anyone who might be in their 60s or their 70s might remember either maybe they were hanging out laundry, or a mother or a grandmother. And it really seems to bring back a lot of very positive memories that I think that our visitors really can connect with.
That's fascinating. I know the program is second Wednesday of each month from 1:15 to 2:30, and people just call the Art Museum, right?
That's right.
All right.
That's right.
Even with Alzheimer's, art is an experience to be enjoyed. And with the Cleveland Museum of Art's unique program, this becomes even more possible. To learn more about the program, call the Art Museum at 216-707-2656 or visit their website, clevelandart.org.
Next, heartfelt advice. Looking for places to go, things to do? Welcome to our community calendar. There are only a few days left to get a glimpse of fabrics featured from our personal past. This old-time attire is arranged in the exhibit Out of the Closet, Rarely Seen Textiles from Our Collection at the Shaker Historical Society and Museum. Quilts, hats, shoes, and doll clothes, normally shielded from fabric-damaging light, are available for view, but only through June 30th. To unpack more information, call 216-921-1201 or click to www.shakerhistoricalsociety.org.
Think you're doing your best to keep your heart healthy? You're not alone. Physicians, researchers, and scientists are constantly looking to find the best way to care for cardiac issues. And some suggest that what we've been doing in the past may not be perfect. Dr. Vilma Torres is here with an update. Dr. Torres' specialties are cardiovascular disease and cardiac electrophysiology at Metro Health. Man, mouthful for me. And we know men and women have different symptoms for heart issues, but there is some common ground as to prevention and treatment, right?
Absolutely, absolutely correct. And I think it's very important to get back to the basics because cardiovascular medicine has exploded over the past decades. And the basics of lifestyle modification with diet and exercise, which is very difficult for many of us to do. But they're still the core of cardiovascular disease prevention. And there is a common ground of the use of cholesterol-lowering drugs known as statins, which work very well for both men and women.
Okay, how about an aspirin a day?
An aspirin a day is a very interesting issue. Aspirin has been around for many years. It is a drug that is an anti-inflammatory that many people take for headaches, but it has been used for cardiovascular disease prevention. It has been used for what we call primary prevention, and before someone has had a heart attack, or secondary prevention once a person has been established to have cardiovascular disease. But the studies have shown lately that an aspirin is not for everyone.
Oh, okay.
There is a lot of individuals who, let's say, for instance, have a friend who has a heart attack or drops dead, and there's the passion and the emotion associated with that. I said, I better take an aspirin because it's going to be good for me and prevent that from happening. And that is not necessarily so. We have learned that there's, just like there's potential benefits, there's potential risk. And the risk is the issues of bleeding. So the way that the scientific community and the cardiovascular community is trying to answer those questions is, what is your potential benefit with the potential risk? And assessing the bleeding risk, because that is the risk with aspirin. It is the risk of bleeding from an ulcer or having a hemorrhage in the brain if the blood pressure is excessively high. And so these are the things to look at.
So we talk about bleeding, that's blood thinning. You also deal with atrial fibrillation, there we go, and that can lead to a stroke, but anticoagulants are also an issue right now?
Yeah, anticoagulants are an issue, but, and I will go back to that, Lori, but I wanted to say something else about aspirin that is very important, and that is the issue of aspirin in diabetics. And the issue of aspirin in diabetics has been that it has been said that perhaps they don't really work as well. But this is actually one of the newer things, that there are some trials going on that suggest that maybe a diabetic person may need to have an aspirin twice a day, perhaps at a lower dose, because it doesn't work as well in those patients. So I'm not saying that diabetics need to go out there and take 2 aspirins a day, but that the data is research. Even though the drug has been around for a long time, there's really good research going on. Going back to the area of that is a passion for me, and that's been the subject of atrial fibrillation.
Well, we got to talk about it quickly, so.
It's very quickly. It's because I could go on forever because I love it so much. It is that atrial fibrillation is an irregular heart rhythm where the heart does not pump effectively. There could be blood clots that occur, and that can lead to a stroke. As a good friend of mine says, you can transfuse blood, but you cannot transfuse brain, because the brain is what is lost in a stroke. It cannot be replaced. And there's a lot of data out there about anticoagulation and the potential risk from drugs that are very good that can actually prevent a patient from having a stroke. And the misinformation.
To your doctor, right?
Exactly. There is a lot of good information. It's learning about it and knowing that you may not be at risk, and not everybody has a terrible hemorrhage that they're going to die from, but that some of the anticoagulants can prevent a stroke.
All right. There are exciting treatments on the horizon for keeping our hearts healthy, while at the same time some typical treatments that may have been tried may not turn out to be true. Don't be confused. Just confirm with your cardiologist that the plan is perfect for you. My thanks to Dr. Torres for her heartfelt advice.
To learn more, call Metro Health at 216-778-7800 or log on to www.metrohealth.org. Next, how clean water simply saves lives. It's time to get up and go, an exercise minute on golden opportunities.
Hello everybody, it's Mike Carbon from Breakout Fitness, and we're here today to show you how to strengthen that core and the ever-important abdominal muscles. You ready to go?
Let's flatten those abs.
Let's do it. All right, we're going to do a basic crunch today. We're going to start lying flat on the ground. We want our feet flat as well, with our legs bent at about a 45-degree angle. From here, you have 2 options. Either place your hands above your eyes, or you can give yourself a hug and cross your chest. All we're going to do is keep your chin pointed towards the ceiling, squeeze the abdominals, and bring your shoulder blades off the ground. We're looking for 15 to actually 20 repetitions here. All right, how you feeling, Lori?
Oh.
Keep them coming, come on. We need at least 3 to 4.
I can do it.
You got it, all right. We need at least 3 to 4 sets of these. Remember, slow and controlled movements, and you gotta remember to breathe. Do not hold your breath. You're looking good. 6-pack's on the way. All right, everybody, now it's your turn to get up and go.
For your copy of the exercise booklet, send $1 for postage to Golden Opportunities, 6105 Parkland Boulevard, Suite 140, Mayfield Heights, Ohio, 44124.
If we want to wet our whistle, it's as easy as turning on the tap, but that's not the case for nearly 1 billion people around the world. Katie Spotts decided to dive into this issue in a big way, and it wasn't always smooth sailing. Katie is an athlete, speaker, and safe water activist with H2O for Life for the schools. So welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
It's hard to imagine a life without safe water, but that's the reality for so many people, isn't it?
Yeah, so, you know, I'm from Cleveland, and I have been born and raised here, but it wasn't until I started traveling overseas that I saw how water is, you know, life for them, that they spend their entire day collecting water that isn't even clean, and that there's tons of solutions out there where people don't need to be doing that, and they're very effective and cheap, so.
Okay, and that's good. Cheap is good,
yeah.
And accessible. So you took this in a big way public with this journey in 2010. So tell us about that.
Sure. So I think I just want to back up and say I wasn't a star athlete growing up as a kid, but it was when I was 18 that I signed up for a running walking class, and I 1 mile at a time would add more. And so, you know, my background, I was never I felt meant to do these types of things, but I did set off, and I broke the world record for the youngest person to row across the Atlantic. So there was no motor, no sail, just oars.
You in a little tiny boat, right?
Yeah,
and
no
we got a
follow
picture
boat.
of the boat there. Oh man! So how did that work? What did your family think about it? How did you plan for that? What was it like?
You know, at the time, my parents thought it was like a phase I was going through and that it would pass. But yeah, I think any parent is not going to be a fan of that idea. But I set off with 2 sets of oars, 4 iPods, 300 chocolate bars,
Keep you going.
Had all sorts of visitors along the way.
And you didn't just stop there. You got involved with H2O for Life. So tell us about that organization.
Sure.
What you do.
So that row was a way to raise money. It was called Row for Water. So it raised over $150,000 for water projects. And since then, I found out about H2O for Life, which is a nonprofit organization that works with students in schools here in the United States to help students in schools all around the United States. So they've worked with over 250,000 kids and really try to engage and inspire them to get involved. So I'm an ambassador for their organization and speak to the kids and get them involved with their work and making a difference.
All right, and you're really, really busy, but you've written a book too, right?
Yes, so it's called Just Keep Rowing, with 70 lessons to represent the 70 days I spent alone at sea. And we decided to self-publish so that more money can go to the charity as a result of this. So we did start a Kickstarter campaign and are looking for some help to be able to self-publish that
So
book.
people can help you out by doing that.
Yes.
Go to Kickstarter. All right. Now, you may be exhausted, just like I am, from hearing about Katie's efforts to change the world. And while we may not be able to do all that she's doing to support safe water efforts, there are steps we can and should take. All we have to do is use the information that's coming up next. My thanks to Katie for joining us today.
For more information, call H2O for Life at 651-756-7577 or visit www.h2oforlifeschools.org. Next, give before Medicaid can take.
Hilltop Village Apartments is retirement living at its best. Residents enjoy a wide variety of activities and living services with all large first-floor apartments, private screened-in patios with beautiful park views, daily dining room meals, free laundry facilities, 24-hour staff, and so much more. Enjoy safe, comfortable independence at a very affordable price. Call today for a tour and learn how you can get your first month's rent free. Hilltop Village Apartments, retirement living at its best.
This week, we're starting a series of 4 legal segments on Medicaid planning. Medicaid is a critically important program for middle-class folks who need help to pay for the catastrophic cost of nursing home care. We have discussed some of the basic rules for Medicaid eligibility in the past, and you can view those again on our Golden Opportunities YouTube channel. But now we want to focus on some planning techniques and issues that people don't understand and can make serious mistakes about. Our first topic is called Gifted, and my gifted law partner Mike Solomon is here to discuss the Medicaid gifting rules.
Hi, Lori.
Hi, Mike. So does Medicaid actually have specific rules about gifting?
Yeah, the rules are really complicated. Basically, they don't want you to just give away all your money and apply for Medicaid because it's an expensive program and they're going to run out of money if they do that. So there's a rule that they can look back if you make a gift and then apply for Medicaid. They can look back 5 years, and if you've done that, you might not be eligible. And some people think it's 7 years. It's a 5-year look-back rule, it's called.
Okay, doke. So what is actually considered a gift?
Well, basically anything. You give away stocks or bonds, your IRA, life insurance, anything like that is a gift, unless you give it to your spouse. And even giving to charities is deemed a gift. So if you give to charity, you could end up losing your ability to get Medicaid.
But what about the IRS rules? I thought I could give away, something like $14,000 per person per year, and it doesn't count towards anything.
Well, that's a tax rule, and by the way, you can give away millions of dollars and not have to worry about taxes. But for Medicaid, $14,000 is an important amount, or a lesser amount even. If you give that away and then you apply for Medicaid, they're going to look back 5 years. If they see that gift, it's going to cause you a problem.
Oh boy! So you mentioned that gifts have consequences, like a denial of Medicaid. So how does that actually work?
Well, to qualify for Medicaid, let's say as a single person, you can have $1,500, a funeral plot, you get some personal expenses by a funeral contract, And then you're allowed to keep that. If you have more than that, when you apply for Medicaid, you're going to lose your eligibility for Medicaid for a period of time. It's going to be a calculation, a formula to calculate that.
So when you're applying for Medicaid, as long as you're down to those amounts, they're going to do this 5-year look-back thing, and if you've got gifts going on, that's a big problem.
That's right. So what they do is they take that amount. Let's say you gave away $50,000. They take that amount and they divide it by a magic number. Right now, that number is $6,327. That's theoretically the cost for long-term care. They take that amount. That works out to 8 months. So you cannot, if you're going to be ineligible for Medicaid from 8 months. So you gave away $50,000. They go back 5 years, look at all your records. Then they make that calculation. You won't be qualifying for Medicaid.
From when you apply for the next 8 months. So
right.
What do they want you to do?
You got to pay for it yourself, or you got to ask whoever you gave that money to. You got to ask for some of that money back.
So does this mean we can't gift at all?
No. What it means is you have to plan. So if you follow the complicated rules and you give away money, let's say, and you get past the 5 years, and you're okay. You can apply for Medicaid. If you don't, you're going to have some issues. And what you ought to do is sit down with someone there's a certification for elder law attorneys. Sit down with someone who has that certification. They know what they're doing in that area, and they can help you out.
All right, wow. Well, it's good to hear that you can still gift access to protect them if you plan ahead, but protection of the assets is critical too. On the next show, we'll discuss ways to make sure your money is still there for you, even if you don't own it directly anymore. In the meantime, if you have any questions about how Medicaid gifting works, give Mike a call at the number coming up next.
Call Solomon, Steiner, and Peck at 1-888-236-5173 for more information or to schedule a speaker for your organization. Or log on to www.ssandplaw.com.
Thanks for joining us. On next week's show, remember Sunday dinner? We'll serve up reasons to reinstate it. It's not too late to declare your independence from decay. We'll help you win the battle for a beautiful smile. Plus, give your loved ones peace of mind by preparing papers prior to your passing. We'll guide you through it. And how can you save loved ones from spending the money you've given to them? We'll present a few possibilities. But until then, please remember to make the most of your golden opportunities.
Would you like to join our kitchen conversation? All you have to do is call toll-free 1-877-765-1543 and leave us your question, name, and phone number. Or log on to www.golden.tv for all the latest information and show updates.
Golden Opportunities is paid for by Elder Productions.